Yeah, it's good.
Okay. The Rabbi side, we have discussed to have Mimran from Gates England who came in. I'll just say a few words about what we're hoping that we'll be able to get out from the Shir. You know that Chazal says it's a Mishnah in Kevin Liba Yotza. That you have to have kavanot for tefillah. And the Baal Shem says, what does it mean, Kevin Liba? That the dvarim have to go into the leg. The dvarim that are in your heart have to penetrate to the leg. The reason why the leg is with tefillah, and the leg is where we have Vekas Nashem. So that Avodas HaKavonos is not just looking at the words, but it's really, as they say, Boya Lateva, to go inside the words, to go inside the tefillah, through the Kavonos, through the Shemus, and to get to Madrega, where Lavdi Bechol Nafshichem, and the Nafshi Yotze B'Dabroi, that one is, one pours his neshama, his nefesh, and his masfasha, his nefesh from the guf. That's what the Shamans also says. It says when you see the word mechaven, what does kavana mean? It means to be mafsha to the neshama from the guf, and this way it could be miskasha with the lamis el yoinam. We find also that the Koshus Magid says that the Olam thinks that when you mechaven shemas, we're learning the shemas from Darizal and the Siddur Rishash. That's the Ikar Kavanah, that's the Ikar Yichud. He says his Lashon is the Emes Eina Kain. The Yichud is not through the Kavanah Hashemas. The Kavanah Hashemas are only a Sulam, they're a ladder that lead us up to the higher Madrega, which is the Taplas, which is the Dvekas B'Hashem. So they're only a means to bring to the end. And the Gemara says the same thing. It says, Dvekas Mitis Ilamala Me Oisius. That's the highest Madrega. We know that the Apechus Mekaris writes that Kavanas means, it doesn't say that a person has to think. Kavanas means that a person's Shover Mechavin, that he connects to the Indian that he's powerful, that he connects, that's the Indian, the Dvekus. And when connects to the Madrega that he's in, then he can bring down all the Shefa. It says in the Tanakh B'Eliyahu, the Russian Tanakh B'Eliyahu, it says that Meir Ani Ulai Shemaim Haaretz Benish Benisha Ben Kuti Ben Yisrael Ben Ever Ben Shircha Kol Fi Ma'asav Ruach HaKadosh Allah. This is what it says in Shar Kedusha. Doesn't give an explanation. He only writes there that he's Megala Tefach Mechasa Alpayim Amo. So when you open up the Shar Kedusha, it doesn't help us that much, but we see that these are madrigas that are shaykh for everyone. We know that when the Baal Shem went to Shemaim and he saw Mashiach, so he must say Kasi Ma, Kishu Samaseh Chusa, Yasi Chudu Kamoischa, that the Sof Golos we zoiche to make Yichudim. But Yichudim is something that we're not zoiche, maybe there's one or two that really understand this, will give shiurim and understand this well. And we're zoiche to have Rabbi Mimran here from Gates in London. He has a kollel, Kosher Mishpat, and a kollel in the Soid. He wrote a number of Sfarim on Yoseph Chaim and others from on Dvekus. And the Sfarim he wrote on Dvekus, we're hoping that tonight's year he's going to give us not what's written in the Sefer, but what's written Bein Hashitin, between the lines, and so that we can become, the whole topic of the Shir is become a Sifra Shulchan Aruch. Simon Sadeches Shulchan Aruch says that when a person gets to Amidah to Shemon Esrei, the Lashon is that they feel it, the Chasidim Rishonim, Rashi Maisa, will be Mispoide, the Mechavim Tfilosim, Ashi Megiyim L'Sfashtus Hagashmas, L'Skabas Koich HaSichli, Ashi Megiyim Kov L'Malas HaNevuah. This is an instruction in the Shulchan Aruch. It's not in the Muslim, it's not in a Shari Kedusha, it's in the Mechaber, which means it's shaykh for everybody. And we hope that this year will not just tell us the Indian that we have to have Ve'es Hashem, but much more important, how to have Ve'es Hashem. And we'll turn it over to Rush.
Thank you very much for that very nice introduction. I find it very humbling being here with all these Talmidei Chachamim, Yodei Achein, and I could just share with you a little bit of what I know, just to give you a little bit of background before I start. As Rabbi Hamber said, we do have a kollel, halacha kollel. We learned Choshen Mishpat the past over 10 years, Baruch Hashem, and then we learned very much other halachas, Hilchos Ribis, Hilchos Nida, and Yoredeh, obviously, and Or Chaim. Why I'm mentioning this? Because it's so important, halacha. Halacha is the basis, the way we live our lives, which tells us what we can do, what we cannot do. So therefore, when we delve into areas in Kabbalah, it's the same thing. You'll need halacha to be madrich you in order to know what you can do, what you cannot do. It's as simple as that. So let us try together, Mr. Hashem. So I would like to speak for, let's say, half an hour, 45 minutes, and I'm happy to take questions to deepen the subject. Obviously, there's a lot of people here with different levels of learning Kabbalah. So we're trying to make it as a steady plane over here to try to make it understandable to everybody. But first of all, I want to thank Handler for inviting me, and obviously of Mansour for allowing us to use the shul. And friends have come to support. Michael Silverman, that's always a good support. It's very late at night. He's leaving tomorrow morning. He's come to support me in all the efforts. Thank you very much. And all the chaverim. So, what I'd like to discuss with you tonight, again, there's so many, Hadler asked me to discuss these in Yom. There's so much we can talk about for days and weeks and months. In the mystic part of Kabbalah, I'm not going to discuss with you Otot Chaim, I'm not going to discuss with you Etz Chaim, you all know that. Also you have some great Rabbonim here that know all these Kavanas, Siddur Hashash. Yechudim, I thought maybe we'd discuss some Yechudim as well, Chivalti or Pidyon Nefesh, some fantastic Ishtachavu al Kibur Tzadikim, these wonderful Yechudim, Shah Kavanas, and Sefer Yechudim, Shah Ruach HaKodesh, beautiful. But I thought maybe we'd learn something that not everybody has access to, that I was privileged to learn. And let's just get a start with it. And if you have any questions, please ask me. So let us discuss a mitzvah min haTorah. It's a lo ta'aseh, and this mitzvah is called Dorosh El HaMesim. Dorosh El HaMesim means connecting with incarnate souls, souls that have passed over. So the Torah says clearly that is a prohibition. You cannot talk to dead people. As the Pasuk says, Ki ata bo el haaretz asher Hashem Elokecha noten lach, lo tilmad lasos ketoivas hagoyim hahem. You shouldn't learn from the goyim. You're going now into Eretz Yisrael. Hashem says you have to be careful what the goyim are doing. Don't do like the goyim. Lo yimatzi bach malvi beno bitzo ba'esh kosem kasamim. Don't do like them. Don't throw your children into the fire. Kosem kasamim mo'unen monachesh umekashiv. All these Yisur Chazal Torah, or maybe we'll spend some time explaining exactly all the differences. V'chover, chover, shol ov v'yidoni, and v'dorosh et meitim. A whole list, a whole slew of isurim that we are not allowed to copy the goyim. And one part of it is dorosh et meitim. Why? Ki tovat Hashem. Ki kol osa elim is a tova. Tamim tiyu. It should be very simple. It shouldn't be choker hakiras, look into the future, try to get some information which you don't find here. The Gemara Sanhedrin Daf Samech Hei Amud Bet explains that what is exactly the issue of Dorosh El HaMesim. The Gemara says, Ze mariv atzmo, Lashon ta'anitz, you fast for 24 hours, V'holech v'lan b'beit ha'kvarot k'dei shetishra alav ruach hatumah. So what's the process exactly? The process is very simply, again, we're doing this in the perspective of a halacha. We have to know what's asur or what's mutar. Like the Sanhedrin and Gedolah knew all the kochat tumah. They know everything about kishuf in order to separate, because to know what is permissible, what's not permissible. So it says that you have to go b'tanit, you have to learn, you have to sleep in the Bet HaKavod, and then you have to call upon what's called the Ruach HaTumah. Rashi explains, what's this Ruach HaTumah? Rashi says of the Gemara over there that it's a Shin Dalet. It's an evil angel that you're communicating over there in the Bet HaKavod, Misayo B'Kishufav, and it helps you to accomplish your witchcraft. Okay, we don't have any more information, but there's a type of witchcraft which is helped by the Shin Dalet. The Rama, one of the Rishonim, argues with Rashi and says that's not the issue. The issue is not to communicate with the Shin Dalet, but rather it's to communicate with the actual dead person. When you communicate with the actual dead person, that's Pshuta Kemashmo Dosh El Meitim, not Dosh El Shin Dalet. That is the issue. Communicating with the dead. That's the issue, not with an angel. The Rambam explains a bit further what was the process to communicating with them. So he says, Shehem lovshim meluvashim yudim. They wear special outfits. Again, we don't know what type of special outfits they were. V'omrim devarim, and they would say incantations. Or mikatchim ketoret yedua, and they would special spices they would burn. V'yishedim levadam kidei shiyav omed plonim v'yisape imo b'chala. And they would sleep all night, as the Gemara says, and they would wait till they're dreaming. And in the dream, that's when the dead person would come to them, and that's when they would communicate to them. Klalu shadavar kol she'oseh maaseh. Listen to the words of the Rambam. Anybody who does a maaseh, does something bepoel, he's wearing clothing, burning Torah, sleeping in the Bet HaKavod, that's where the Issur is. That's where the Issur is. And he says the Geder of the Issur, the prohibition is Kishuv, witchcraft. The Ramban in Dvarim, of this pasuk, and the Radvaz, the Miri, they argue. They say that's nothing to do with witchcraft whatsoever. Speaking to the dead has nothing to do with. Nafkamir would be what type of punishment we give it. Is it Malkut? Is it Issur? Is it Skila? But they hold the Issur is, the pasuk says, Tamim Tiyu im Hashem Elokecha. Chakir Chakiros Latid. To know the future. So according to the Miri and the Radvaz and the Ramban, they're learning that the Issur is that you shouldn't speak to dead people to know the future. It's mashma from them though, that if you're doing it to communicate and get information on the present or on the past, that will be acceptable. You're not over the Issur of Tamin Tiyu B'Hashem Elokecha. The problem I always had with this Issur of Dolish communicating with the Meitim, so severe, Chayv Skila, according to the Rashi and the Rambam, we find that in various Gemarot in Shas, full of examples of Tanaim, Amoraim, which spoke to dead people. The Mashal. The Gemara Brachot, Daf Yud Chet, very famous, Chet Amud Bet, Yud Chet Amud Bet, famous Gemara, Bechasid Echad, the very righteous and pious individual. Now listen to the Lashon Gemara, Chasid Echad, as sort of the Gemara is praising him. Okay? Shenoten dinar le'ani be'erev Rosh Hashanah, ve'iknit to ishto. So what happened? The story was, erev Rosh Hashanah, everybody's getting ready for the Chag of Rosh Hashanah. He has money, he went to work, he comes back and he sees a poor person. What do you do erev Rosh Hashanah? He gives tzedakah. He gives tzedakah. The problem is he gave all his money that he worked for. He comes home, the Gemara says he got in a fight with his wife. Wife probably said to him, where's the money? Let's go buy some chalot, let's buy some food for the Chag, and he didn't have any money. The wife, what she did, like a good wife, threw him out of the house. Threw him out of the house. So where does he go? He doesn't go to a friend's house. He goes to the Bet HaKvorot. It's the only free place you can go to. Okay? It's free. You don't have to pay. Halach ve'lam be'bet HaKvorot. He goes and he sleeps all night in Bet HaKvorot. What does he hear there? Shama shtei ruchot misapchot zu lezu. He hears two voices. Two souls, incarnate souls talking to themselves. Ve'amar chada lechaverta. Chavarti bo v'nashut ba'olam. Let's go travel. ונשמע באחות פלגות מה פורענות באה לעולם. Let's go, תחת הפלגות, it's an expression, let's go see what's happening in the future of the world. ועם אחד אל חברתה. You go, she said, you go, and I'll stay over here. She couldn't go. The Marshal explains why she couldn't go. And you tell me, she says, what you hear. So one neshama goes, Amrala, Shamati, what did you hear? She says, Shamati, I heard. Kol hazoreh b'revi'i u'rishona barad melaka. Talking about farmers, when they're sowing the seeds into the ground, if all those people, they don't know now, but if they start sowing the seeds in the ground, the first quarter of the year, the hailstones are going to come and wipe out everything. So what does this smart Chassid Echad do? What does he do? He goes and sows in the second part of the year. And he became very, very rich. And the Gemara continues, and he goes back next year. Rosh Hashanah. He says, this is great. This is how you make inside information and get a lot of money. He goes back next year, here's the same story. She goes, Takla Palgud, tells her friend, by the way, the whole thing's happening again. That's crazy. And he goes, that's fantastic. And he goes, third year he goes back. Then the Ruchot, these Ruchot Misapchot, they say, hey, what's going on here? They look down, they hear somebody, they see somebody listening. They said, no, we can't talk anymore. Somebody's listening to us. It's an interesting story. But besides being interesting, he's done an Isur Doraita of Doris and Meitim. He's talking to dead people. He's listening to dead people. He's communicating. He's listening. Another story, the Gemara says further on, Zeiri, Mavkid Ketzev Etzel Ma'arechet Shelo. He was by a pundik, he was by a little hotel. And the Zeiri, he left all his money with this woman that was taking care of the hotel. And he says, take care of the hotel. Halach, Yatzel lebet midrash v'chazar. He goes to the bet midrash, comes back. What is a matzah shehi nifteret? She died. Okay, so he can't find his money now. What would you do? You can't find your money. You left it by the hotel pakid, the secretary. So you'd search up and down the hotel. What does he do? Again, back to the bet kvorot. He goes to the cemetery. Of course, easiest way. Halach acharei lebet kvorot va'amra la efo hakesef. He says, hey, where's my money? Amra lo, like nothing, this is no problem. Amra lo, she says to him, yeah. Lakach, she explains to him, by the way, tell this lady that I'm going to see her soon and bring my brush and a whole story over there. Again, how could he be talking to a dead person? One more story. I can tell you many more stories. The Gemara says, again, later on in the Brachot, Etzel Aviv Shel Amora Shmuel. Shmuel, the father of Shmuel, Ufkad Kesev Shel Yetomim, V'niftar Av. What happened was, Shmuel's father, he was responsible for taking care of the Yetomim. And what happened was, he died, and they didn't know where he put all the money. So they go up to Shmuel, and they say to Shmuel, you robbed us. Obviously, your father must have given you the money, all that money, and where's the money? They start telling him that he's a ganav. So the Gemara explains over here that he goes to the Bet Kvarot and he starts saying, Abba, come to me. And some ruchot come to him and says, which Abba? The many fathers. He says, Abba the Abba. He says, there's many fathers of fathers. And he starts telling him, Abba the Shmuel. And then finally the father, Shmuel, comes down. And he says, Abba, where's the money? Again, no surprise. He's asking him, where's the money? So he says to him, I put it under the windmill, as everybody knows. And he said, I put my money on top, and I put my money on top, underneath, and I put the money of the Yetumim underneath. And Shmuel, what does he do? He's not surprised his father's talking to him. He's talking to a neshama. And Shmuel says, why did he do that? It's a curious thing. What's this weird thing? What are you doing that for? He says, because if somebody comes to steal the money, they'll steal my money before they get to the Yetomim's money. If there are ants or worms who are going to eat the money, they're going to eat mine before the Yetomim. So the Yetomim's money is safe. Go there, get the money. He gets the money, goes back. No surprises. No thank you to the father, and walks off. Again, how do we explain these Gemaras? How do we explain these Gemaras? They're talking to dead people. You're not supposed to be talking to dead people. So, let me tell you a bit more. In Shifrei Ari, a lot of tzaddikim we can talk about, but the one we know the most is the Ari. The Arizal, in Shifrei Ari, which are all the stories of the Arizals, it's with Mekorot, we believe in all these stories. And we know that the Chaim Vital was Eid Ne'eman, and he said himself that I saw my master, he had these incredible powers that he was able to talk to incarnate souls. In Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh, he says even more mefurash. He says, Aya Yadua, that the Arizal knew, Lahamshich lefanav nefesh mi shehaya, or chai, or min haniftarim. He knew how to bring neshamot to him, to understand, to get information either from the person physically, look into the neshama, or even from dead people. He used to bring dead people to speak to them. Whether min harishonim, min achronim, shoel me'em kol retzono v'yidiat atidot berazeh haTorah. He would not only ask them about what's happening in the present with them, he would ask them about the future. We're not only familiar with the Arizal and all of his accomplishments, we also know, everybody knows stories of tzaddikim, chasidei olam, that were known to have nishamot coming to them and talking to them. Even when I was learning in Bnei Brak as a bachur in yeshiva, in Bnei Brak, Ma'ader Atra, the Chazon Ish, they would say stories about Chazon Ish, how when he would receive nishamot, souls would come to them and speak to them. So how can that be? Further, let's look into Shulchan Aruch. How, in halacha eyes, how do they perceive this? So let me tell you a stira, a contradiction from one sif to the other. So in Siman Kuf Ein Tet, Sif Yud Gimel, says there's an issue of Dorish and Metim, and he writes Mefurash like the Gemara. Are you allowed to do that or not? Mechaber says Mufash, Mutar. You're allowed to tell a person, come back to me and speak to me after you're dead. The Rama agrees. Afilu la'acher moto. Even after the person dies, you're allowed to ask the dead person that just died, you're allowed to speak to him and ask him to come back to you in a dream. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let me tell you an astonishing levush that I found, which really opens up this whole subject wide open. And then we'll get something a little bit more practical, just introducing this. So the levush says as follows. The levush in Yodea, also in Kuf Ein Tet, that's where all the halachot of Kishuf are, and Sifri Dalet. He says as follows. She'ein doresh ela metim nemar ela ala guf shehu metz. Listen to what he's saying, the words over here. The issue, the parameters, the boundaries, the geder of doresh et metim applies only when you're communicating with the body of the dead person. I'll explain what that means exactly. Aval al rucho hu chai velo metz. But if you're communicating with neranchi, we know what that means, right? Nefesh wal neshama chai yichida, with the higher levels of a neshama, that's not communicating dosh elevating. That's communicating with something which is alive, and it always will be alive. Amazing, amazing concept. And he continues. כי קבע שקור בפי כל חכמי קבלה ובזוהר בכמה מקומות שצורת הגוף אדם שמת פרחה ממנו נשמת ורוחו שמיד חושקים אליו כל כוחות לצורת הטומאה בלא גוף. I mean, what is happening exactly, technically? When a person dies, what happens is, he has within him, in the Lashon of Arizal, it's called Havli Degalmi. The Havli Degalmi, which is in by the Luzbom, in Shah Mitzvot, explains that that's all the halachot of Avelim. Why do we go to the kever? Why do we all do that? If the neshama is gone a long time ago, why do we menachem avel and we go to the kever? Because there's always an aspect, a nefesh to nefesh, little nitzos of kedusha of the neshama which resides still in the body of the dead person, and that rishima, as they call it, that residue of the part of the neshama which is there, that is stays in the guf. Now listen to what he says. The levush says what happens there is that the koach hatuma come and inhabits, and wherever there was once upon a time kedusha, means the neshama of that person resided in the guf and then left the reshima, the koach hatuma want to be yoinik from that. They can't while you're still in the guf because your neshama is too great. But as soon as your neshama leaves the guf and there's still a little bit of residue there, they'll come and they'll go there into the guf. וחושקים להיות בגוף שהוא בו בצוץ אדם. וזה עיקר טעם לינס המייס. וטעם שגוף אדם מטמא באוהל, וטעם שגוף אדם מטמא באוהל, וגוף של בהמה אינו מטמא באוהל. And that's the reason why a goof is מטמא באוהל. Why is מטמא באוהל? If the neshama left already and the goof it disappears in the ground, where's the tumor? How is the tumor being created? The tumor is created because the Havla, the Gam is still there, the Koach HaTumah is being yonik. That Koach HaTumah is mitame ba'oil. Masha Henkin a Be'em, which doesn't have this nitzutz of Kedusha inside of it, as in the Neshama, but not that type of. Therefore, the Tumah, the Koach HaTumah, don't bother inhabiting the goof of a Behema, and therefore there's no Koach HaTumah, and therefore, Nafkamina, there's no Tumah's oil. When Koach HaTumah, Shem, שינדלס רוחים לילים חושקים לדמות בנשמתיהם שהם בהם חיים.
You're only talking about a goy or a yehud, because a goy has no.
You read my mind.
A goy has no.
You read my mind. That's the next line I'm about to read over here. And he says that is only applicable by Jews and not goyim. Exactly. ויודעים צורת הטומאה שלא יהיה להם מעלה כשידמה בנשמות הגויים המטמאים ואין להם שום חשק ותאווה להיכנס בגופם רק בגוף ישראל שהיו בהם נשמות טהורות חפצים נדמות כי חושבים שהגיע להם מעלה גדולה ממנו שהם מטמא את עצמו. So what's happening over in the goyim, they don't have any particular kedusha, and therefore the koach hatuma don't want to inhabit them. Therefore, they're not mitame met. They're not mitame ba'oil. Mashek, and by the Jews, they have this particular aspect of kedusha. The tuma comes in there, and that's why they're mitame ba'oil. And therefore, he says like this: Lefichach, hadorish el aguf shel hamet shel Yisrael vada yidabeku im otam kochot amitame choshkim yidabek. He's telling you a further, deeper insight in Dorish and Mating. Why is it asur? You know why? Because it's dangerous. Why is it dangerous? Because as soon as you start communicating with a dead person, Jewish dead person, what you're really communicating is barely the Havle, the Gama, the Nefesh, but mostly with the Koach HaTumah which inhabits the goof. That's why it's asur. Because you're being metame yourself with the Koach HaTumah. Ba'oto guf, metame tatzmo, v'yesh bo mamash, על ידי אותם כוח הטומאה, ולפי זה עיקר לאו דורש של מתים לא נאמר אלא בגופן של מתי ישראל. listen to the חידוש. אבל דורש אל גופי גויים אינו נקרא דרישה, אין בהם ממש כלל. והדורש על רוחו של ישראל גם כן אינו נקרא דורש של מתים. But if you דורש in the ruach, or the nefesh, ruach neshama of a Jew, which is outside the guf, no problem. You can talk to incarnate souls, no problem. Is everybody following with me? You understand where the iso is, when you communicate with the actual body, where the koach hatuma is now chal, because there's no more neshama over there, but to communicate with naranchi of a Jew, no problem, says the levush. Umiu, gam bezeh nemut el bedavka bish. But you can't do like the Rambam says. We said lovish levashim miuchadim, haktara, incantations, lam bikavarot, tanit. All when you're doing a maaseh, that's asur. Okay, so we're getting much clearer in what is mutar and what is asur. Now, Rabotai, now this is what I think you all came to hear exactly. So, lemaaseh. Can we actually communicate with incarnate souls? And the answer is yes. You heard it from the Gemarot. They did it all the time. The only question is, how did they do it? What's the mechanics exactly? How they actually communicated in God in connection with these incarnate souls. Now let me tell you the secret over here. Let me tell you the secret. And this works, by the way. There's a cloud in Sifrei Kabbalah, Sifrei Zohar, and this is spelled out mostly in Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh. In Dush Aleph, Kava Yedata, says the Arizal, or Chantal, Ki kuluhu idbaru b'machshava, ki nizka b'hechal ha'parashat kodesh, shekol shach nitzutzot idbaru b'machshava. It's a cloud in the Zohar, that with the power of intention and focus, you can create anything you want. We know in all the kavanot, in Shah Kavanot, in the Rashash, we know there's an issue to pronounce any of the Havayot, Elokim. Important to know that, obviously. So how exactly are we manipulating the Shach and the Par and all these nitzutzot that we have to be mali? How are we doing that? Machshava. Not exactly. We think of machshava, thoughts. I mean, how can thoughts at all manipulate the greatest commodity that we have, these nitzutzot, which creates everything that we have over here? Idbar lekula. So let me give you a few examples to show you exactly how powerful machshava is. And again, I always work with the halacha because the halacha is the grounding point before we take off. So there's a very interesting halacha by Tchumim. We know that Shabbat comes, you can only walk outside for the city. What he can do is, very simply, he places machshava towards the mashal, a tree, and he says, that is where I want to be. Just simply like that. In halacha, it states that machshava alone is as if he's there. As if he's there. That intention is where he is. And therefore, api halacha, he can continue walking, even theoretically he's outside the 2,000 amot, but that is 2,000 amot starts where his theoretical machshava, his thought was, then he can walk another 2,000 amot. So you see the power of intention. Wherever you think you are, you are. Another example. Bikat Levanot, right? When we're benching the Chodesh, okay, so there we see over there's a halacha, the Kiddush Levana. When you make the bracha for the moon, you know there's an isur, you cannot say Friday nights. There's different reasons why I brought down, either because you'll carry the book 4 hours in the Reshut HaRabim. Rabbi Yoseph Mitpano, right, one of the Talmidim of the Arizal, was brought down actually in the Mishnah Berurah. Brought down in the Mishnah Berurah, and Simen Tav Chavav Sif Yud Bet. He says something fascinating. He says the isur of making Kiddush Levana Belev Shabbat because you're going chutz l'tchum. Chutz l'tchum, you imagine such a thing. What does it mean chutz l'tchum? You're making because you're outside with your siddur and you're going to what does that mean? He says, you know what? It's an halacha. When you start thinking of connecting to the moon, you're in the moon. And therefore, anything above 10 amot, that's why we know Eliyahu Navi can't come on Shabbat because he's going to come chutz l'tchum, says the Gemara. So therefore, when you say Bikat Levana, when you're thinking you're actually in the moon, you're going chutz l'tchum. Again, the yesod is machshava is everything. It's extremely powerful. And therefore, we've come to the hetzer that we want to come to is through machshava. The machshava is the yesod of all these pu'ulas that we're going to be introducing, which we had more time, but introducing this concept of getting into what we call olamot aruchni. Olamot aruchni. So we know there are many ways up the mountain. Okay, we know that the Kabbalah of Avraham Abulafia, Sulam Aliyah, We know the system of the Sefer Yetzirah, Sefer Hechalot, Sefer Bahir, Chava the Moshe. I can go on and on. They've come out with a new Sefer called Tziach Yosef, Yosef Tziach. Times of the Bet Yosef. They came out with a new Ksav Yad that they came out recently. Somebody called Rav Torgeman in Yatika or in Bet El, came out and said he's discovered. I actually looked it up. It's actually in the Israeli International Library. You find the handwritings of this great master of Kabbalah, which was pre-Ari. Apparently, this great Kabbalist actually taught the Ari. Whether he did or not, I'm not sure. But there he introduces his book as Torah Neviut. Torah Neviut. The teachings of prophecy. There he teaches a whole quite complicated system of kavanot, mazalot, chilufot yod, very postures, ishtachavut, all that type of system. What I feel in my understanding and my testing various systems, and you can tell that I've read quite a bit about the information, the easiest and the safest, and I say safest because again we have to be very, very careful what we're doing over here, is through the power of meditation. So maybe that's an anticlimax for a lot of people. Maybe you thought I'm going to talk about the special shemot of malachim and so on and so forth, but you cannot undermine the power of machshava when combined with meditation. And why it's so important is because once you understand the power of meditation, and it has to be a particular type of meditation, it empowers all your kavanot. Because unfortunately, nowadays the way we learn Kabbalah is very mechanical, very dry. It's like a piece of Gemara that we learn it. It's beautiful. It's a mitzvah min Torah. Yigir yom balayla, to learn Torah. But unfortunately, a lot of people turn to Kabbalah because they want something a bit deeper. They want something experiential. They want to feel Olam HaRuchni. They want to feel this, as they call it, the mitzvah ledavkabo, to connect to Hashem. So unfortunately, we try various systems, and unfortunately many times we're disappointed in what we come out. So you finish Otot Chaim, you finish Etz Chaim, you finish Sefer Yetzirah. Abulaf, you tried, and it's not really giving you the sensations and empowering your avodat Hashem. But I can guarantee you, Abotai, that if you follow the steps that I've written in this new book, this is not a sales pitch, but this is definitely a way forward, to connecting. Again, this is only the first step. There's a few different steps to go through. Is connecting through the power of meditation. I'm not talking about hours of meditating. I'm not talking about sitting on the floor and meditating with your legs crossed. Not at all. You can be standing. You can be walking. You can be talking. You could be doing whatever in a very clouded, on the train to the city. That's the type of meditation we're talking about. And as soon as you master this type of process, it's just really a switch in your brain. And once you can understand different places where you can get to, you feel the difference between Olam HaGashmi and Olam HaRuchni, it's a thought away. Nafka mina is that when you connect to the Olam HaRuchni, you're automatically connected to what I would say the closest to all the Olamot, Asiyah, Yetzirah, Bria, and Yetzirah. What we know that is closest to us, what we call Gan Eden Atachton. We see that also. Chaim explains to us where the Gan Eden Atachton, and Etz Chaim should say, where the Gan Eden Atachton is. And in the Gan Eden Atachton, the Ramchal says it's the Olam HaNeshamas. And in the Olam HaNeshamas, guess who's there? Neshamot. It's a waiting station at Tchiyat HaMeitim. They come back after Tchiyat HaMeitim. They push away all the Koach HaTumah, which is in the Guv, and then they come back. But in the meantime, they're all there. Where's the Olam HaNeshamas? It's right here. It's right here. It's with us. We can't see it because it's not. We have physical eyes, They're much on a higher level than us. But doesn't mean they're up there, they're here. And they are a thought away. Literally a thought away. And that's why you find a lot of people, if you ask, very simple people. Your mothers, your fathers, your grandfathers, your grandmothers, and they'll tell you stories. Yeah, I had a dream of my father came to me. I had a dream of my mother. You know, I was downstairs in the kitchen, I was hungry, I went down, and I saw my mother. She passed 60 years like I'm seeing you now. Very simple people. Do they have knowledge of all the Kabbalah? All the Reshashis Kabbanot? All the Yechudim? No. It's a natural, innate ability that everybody has in them to connect to the spiritual. Except we deny it. We say, we push it off. It didn't exist. I didn't see it. I don't believe in these things. But believe me, if you focus and use that machshava to believe in it, it becomes a reality, and you become assumed and one and all with Olam HaRuchni. Now, I'm a very great believer in evidence, because you can talk and talk and talk to you blue in the face and say, I had this experience and that, and I floated and da-da-da, very nice and kind, but what does it get you at the end of the day? What I'm more interested in is in evidence, working with people, and proving to them, and proving to themselves, and for them to know how it works in order for them to do it, to how to, like the Mechaber says in the Hilchos, at the beginning of the Hilchos Tefillah, Hispashtis min haguf. That's part of the Tefillah. That's the mechanics. If you're praying with your body and your mind, you're not praying. Mechaber says you have to be Hispashtis min haguf. Leave your body behind. The Hasidim Rishonim, Sha'acha, Sha'akoidim, Sha'acha Tefillah, they were completely mispashit and connecting. Is that difficult? No. How far and how long? Doesn't take an hour. It's only a thought away. A thought away. It's a little trigger in your mind. But once you do it, you connect it. Call it Ruach HaKodesh. Call it intuition. Call it gut feeling. For me, it's all the same thing. I talk to business people. I tell them a few of these things sometimes. And they say, I don't believe in that stuff. I say, well, listen. What about these big business deals that you do? You have a building to buy, $4.5 billion, and they have pros and cons on this side, pros and cons on that side. What makes you exactly? I'm just curious, what makes you make the decision? I have this gut feeling, they tell me. I said, what is this gut feeling exactly? What is that? What does it feel like? Can you explain that to me? Not really, but I just feel pulled. I feel like a little voice inside of me that tells me that this is what I should do. Oh, I said, that's very interesting. What's this little voice over there? I'm not sure what this voice is. Well, I'll tell you what's happening. I'll tell you what's happening. Is that you're in a tight spot here. You have 50 investors are heavily invested with you, and if you make the wrong decision, you're going to lose your business. And when somebody's pointing a gun to your head, it doesn't matter if you're not religious, if you never believed in God, if somebody's pointing a gun and you're in a hot seat, what's the first thing you do? You pray to God. All of a sudden you become super religious. There's God. Oh, I found God all of a sudden. You're praying, I tell them, subconsciously. You're not saying the nusach of Anshe Knesset Gdolah, Shmoneh Esrei, but you're praying to Hashem, please help. Hashem talks to us all the time. We're too busy with our thoughts. We're not listening. Even in Tefillah, we're not all there. The Hispashtis min haguf helps us to connect. And therefore, when they're in the hot spot and they pray to Hashem, Hashem answers them because they're totally focused. Their machshava is there, totally focused. And all of a sudden, boom, I know the answer. I'm going to buy this building. That's Ruach HaKodesh for me. What else is there? They got factual information and they made a correct decision. And they found out the other building, whatever, there was a defect, and if they had bought, they would have lost all the money. I hear stories like that all the time. And people will bet millions of dollars on this, Rabotai. Betting on their gut feeling. That's how solid it is. So, we're Rabbanim, learning Kabbalah. We should learn something, Mikol Adam. If they can trust their instincts, we should also start trusting their instinct. Implementing a little bit of kavanot through these techniques of hispashtis min haguf, connecting, not through lengthy meditation, but rather just connecting, a little switch in the mind. And total focus I don't know, whose phone is that? Eliminating all those machshavot, once all these machshavot are separated from your mind, and that's the control of thought, which I speak about in my book. Once that is the first step of watching the thoughts, eliminating, understanding the thoughts are not part of you, looking at it as you're separate from that, and therefore becoming the master of your life, and not letting your thoughts taking you over. Any thought comes along, we start dreaming about the past, we start worrying about future probabilities that might never ever happen. That takes away the power of focus. It takes away the power of our connecting to the Olam HaRuchni. But Rabotai, I'm telling you it works. In tremendous siyat that the Shema person gets when he's connected to Olam HaRuchni, which is really Bismanenu, like Rav Handler quoted, Tana de Be'eliyahu, and I looked it up myself, Tana de Be'eliyahu. Ani Meid, Eliyahu Navi says, Ani Re'isi Ketanim Nashim Goyim, Sheesh Laim Ruach HaKodesh. So why can't we tap into that as well? Chabal. So, again, I can talk for hours and hours and hours, but I hope that was helpful, opening up a little bit the subject, open up the idea that it's Shayach, Ruach HaKodesh, Afilu B'Zmanenu. I've seen it, Ani Re'iti Be'atzmi, that it works. Either communicating with Nishamot, communicating with people's Nishama, like the Arizal done. Not that we are comparing ourselves to Arizal, because the Leshem, before I end, I want to tell you, the Leshem Shubal Barach Lama says, he has a question. How can we learn Kabbalah? My grandfathers, Gadol Odor of which town in this town, they never learned Kabbalah. They knew Shas, Balpeh, Poskim. The rule is, Yeridas Adoros, we're falling, we're not as great at all. We don't come to the ankles and the heels of our previous generations. So how can we learn Kabbalah and they didn't learn Kabbalah? It doesn't make sense. Yeridas Adoros. What's the answer? Says the Leshem, you're right, Yeridas Adoros. In the Kamut and the Chomer of the Torah, we can't compare ourselves. But B'siyat D'Shmaya, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is opening up the floodgates of Shar Shamayim in front of us. And when that's happening, we're getting Siyat D'Shmaya that previous generations didn't get. Like some generations weren't Zochah to get the Zohar. Later generations, not because they were greater, because it was time. The more we carve ourselves, says the Leshem, to the Biat HaMashiach, the more the gates are open, because we're going to transition ourselves to Olam Shekulo Tov, Kulo Ruchni, and we have to prepare ourselves. Abotai, this is the new technology which is going to come out soon. Quote me. Thank you for listening to me.
One question. Before we finish, tomorrow morning we're going to stand for Amidah. Could the Lord give us a few steps in what are the machshava that you have to leap from the Olam HaGad to the Ruchni in the practical nature?
Sure. Okay. So one of the things I discuss in my book is the control of thoughts. That's and I'll tell you, there's nothing I invented. Lahavdin ben Mei Abdolot, we have even doctors, physicians, psychiatrists that use these techniques. Chochma Bagoyim Tamim. Chochma Bagoyim Tamim, they have Chochma, there's no doubt about it. And trust me, there's no koach hatuma, there's nothing in this whatsoever, completely kosher v'yosher. Is a concept of watching your thoughts, being the third-party observer. Might be a little bit foreign for people to understand this, but some people might understand what I'm talking about. When you have a machshava that comes into your mind, you have to understand that it's not you, it's not you. Our problem is that we associate with all our thoughts that will come into our mind. An angry thought, a happy thought, a sad thought, a depressed thought, and also we get assumed in that thought and we give it energy. It becomes a life in itself. We forget ourselves, we get so involved in the thought, we start predicting the future, what's going to happen according to that. If you're able to take a third-party look at your thoughts and watch the thoughts as it's coming into your mind and saying, I'm not going to take action, I'm just going to watch it. It's like a person walking into a dark room and uses a candle. What happens? A little tiny flame could open up and you can see everything into this little dark room. Or even if it's a large dark room, little flame could be matcha all the darkness. By you using your consciousness, your power of focus, you can disembody all negative thoughts, or all thoughts altogether. And that's what you need to be matzliach in order to mikasher to olam haruchni. Whether it's b'shas tefillah, or b'shas you boinin, mikasher to neshamas, tzaddikin neshamas, or whatever, or you want to help your chaver, and you want to see into him. Like the Ari in Shah Kedusha, he talks about in Shah Kavanot, in Hoshana Rabbah, he talks about Babur, talks about the Tzelem, you've seen it. Talks about how the Tzelem and how it actually works is the Makif Rishon, Sheni, Chai Yechida. The Makifim, what people don't understand, the Makifim are an extension of the internal neshama. So you can't see inside the neshama, but you can see the outer expression of the neshama. So once you connect Ispashtis min haguf with a very simple technique, once you're there, you're able to feel a neshama, the extension of these babuas. That's what he tells us. You can go out at midnight, he says, and you can look at that tzelem, you can look and see how long you're going to live. Those Makifim, they have all the information. It's the exact same system. It's always Spashis Minaguf. And then once you're there, your focus attention is to see the Babud and you're connecting. So taking that into Tefillah, we're coming to Tefillah, let's say, you merakis yourself, working in your machshavot, watching them as they're coming into your mind. Watch them. It's not so easy. People have difficulty doing this. But watching and counting the thoughts and looking at them as the little clouds focusing and going through your mind. And just taking a back seat as if it was something outside of you. And the more you stay in this position, all the thoughts dissipate. Then you're in that right space. That's when you're in the olam aruchni. And then you're very attentive to what happens next. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with Siyat D'Shmaya, starts then at that point able to communicate. Because if it's a full keli, you cannot fill it. You have to empty your mind as you're emptying a keli. And when you empty the keli, then the correct Siyat D'Shmaya or the Ruach HaKodesh can come into you. And that's when you get into the pnimiut of the olamot. You'll see the difference.
Sounds very much like mindfulness.
Right. It's nothing I invented, like I said. The doctors use it, psychiatrists and whatnot, but it's definitely the entrance point. Yeah.
Could you give us one dogma about a gilui that you had from
Alias. Well, I'm not, I don't like to tell personal stories, but I'll tell you very quickly. So I had this a person that was calling me over and over again, and obviously the person, it seemed to be very, very important. And obviously if they're going to come to see somebody like me, I teach these things, obviously they must be quite desperate. I must be the last person they want to come see. So I'm just wondering, I'm saying to myself, I need Siyat D'Shmaya, I need a bit of a special ruach to come to me and explain to me, give him the right eitzah to tell him. And as I'm saying myself and I'm quieting my mind, I'm feeling that he wants to come to talk to me about his wife. Just recently. It happened in Michael Silverman's house. But anyways, so the man comes and I said, don't tell me anything. I'm just curious. Are you coming to talk to me about your wife? He says, yes. How did you know? I said, I guessed. And I said, would I be correct by saying she's having epileptic seizures? And he's all taken back. And he says, wow. He says, not 100%. She has a tumor in her brain, and that's creating seizures. It's not epileptic based, but it's based on this tumor. And he said, wow. And all I had to do, I'm not trying to brag here, all I had to do is just allow myself to separate from my thoughts and connect with his ababuas, connect with his neshama, which was protruding outwards. I felt I was sitting in his shoes. And then when you're sitting in somebody's shoes, you know all his problems before he tells it to you. And therefore, the person doesn't have to actually say anything. You can immediately understand the situation as it is and give him the right eitzah. He can't understand because he's in the moment. But you as a third party, having this advantage of being in the shoes and not being in the shoes at the same time, obviously that's a good thing to have. Perspective. Sure. So I this concept is a very known concept in the Kasha to the Tzaddik, and in the Arizal talks about Ibul Neshama, Shan Gigulim. Talks about how sometimes tzaddikim, lav davka, they've done anything wrong, but some they finish their tikkunim and they come back because they want to get a higher place in Gan Eden. So you find a neshama which is piggybacking, basically, even neshama coming to you. That's called connecting with the neshama. But what I'm a bit.
Ben Ishai did that.
Yeah, I'm sure. He was known to talk to the Eliyahu Navi all the time.
Rosh Chodesh and B'Katan Levana to the grave, and he would lay on it.
Right. Ishtachavu al Kivei Tzadikim, more than Yehudim. Yeah, the Arizal was very big on that, taught that. But what I'm very much, what I think is important about that, if you're going to try this, I think it's very important that you get evidence. It's very nice to say I'm a kasher to a tzaddik, and the tzaddik was telling me this and that. Either yes or no. It could be just a koach hadinyan that you're imagining that you're makusha, not makusha. But when you work with somebody and you see that the evidence that you're giving them is being validated, you know automatically that you're elevating into the olam haruchni. It's a barometer. The other person's a barometer. So you're playing back with the person and using various techniques and exercises, and you're seeing, wow, I'm actually getting this right, this information. Yes, that was right. Yes, that was wrong. Okay. Keep on trying. It's a practice about that. It's not, what I'm saying to you is very easy, but not simple.
Any guy can do this.
Tani de Be'eliyahu.
I meant like Gideon kids of the kids.
Right. So what I'm telling you are exercises. I'm not talking about this is a party trick here, telling him, reading his mind. We're not talking ESP over here. But rather, the shlavi, it's a mahalach that we've forgotten about. It's called the mitzvah of the dov kabo. Right? The Gemara Ksuvas says, how do you make how do you make this mitzvah to connect to Hashem? The Kabbalah says everything's attached to this mitzvah. You're doing any mitzvah you want, blowing shofar, Tanit Yom Kippur, Tefillin, Shema, it's all connected. You're connecting to this mitzvah, the central mitzvah, which is mentioned more times than any of the mitzvahs. Every mitzvah is mentioned once, twice. The Dovka is mentioned 9 times. 9 times in the Torah. The Gemara Ksuvah says, how do you mikayim it? Brings psukim. Hashem is kula eish. How can you be dabek kula eish? It doesn't exist. You get burnt up. The Gemara said various teruts. In one teretz is, you medabik to Tamid Chachamim. They're medabik to the Torah. They learn kulo in the Torah. The Torah is Dvar Hashem, and that's how you connect it to Hashem. You're connected to the Tamid Chacham. Chacham is connected to the Torah. Torah is connected to Hashem. The Mukubalim says, Ein pasuk yotze midei pshuto. No, we're not asking. If the pasuk says the dov kabo, that means you can't connect to Hashem.
How do you disconnect from your thought?
Just one second, let me just finish it. So this is the mitzvah. Call it ruach kodesh. I don't care what you call it. Gut feeling, instincts. By the way, women are fantastic at this. They have this natural ability which no man can. Dina Yisera, I've seen it many, many times by women. They do it so naturally, it's incredible. They know what their child is thinking miles away. My son is not feeling well. They run in the room, boom. Ask them. They don't know the technique, they don't know the mechanism, how it works, but I've tried to explain to you how this works. So the Mukubalim said, this is the mitzvah ledavkabo. So therefore, through these exercises of connecting with people and reading the Baburs, connecting to the Olam HaNeshamas, B'derech Heter, as we've seen, what is the Derech Heter? It's just a step higher to connecting to Hashem. Hashem in the Olam HaRuchni that's part and parcel of the mitzvah of the Dov Kabbalah. So, Elokut, connecting to Elokut, is a very broad topic. There's nothing solidified over there, But the closest we can get to Dveikud Be'elokum is this system. Very simple system.
The Ramchal says that he didn't, he spoke to the Maggid and he didn't get Asitas, it was only learning Torah. So how did you verify?
Are you verified?
The Ramchal
Yeah.
writes that everything that he got from the Maggid
Yeah.
was not Asitas. And that's why they shouldn't have kindness on him for what he wrote.
Yeah.
So where was his verification? How do you know that he was dealing with Malachim? That was...
That's something else. When you're dealing with Torah, when you're dealing with Torah, for example, some Torahs you don't understand.
That's a self-verification.
You're only chidushim. Nobody. You feel what's double emes in Torah and what's not double sheker.
Also don't we start off with Kista to Chiyusa, the work to be with David, so why isn't that our time with the Levush?
What? Kista the chiyusa?
We work in order the yichud of Shtachas B'Kirei Tzadikim. We're working with that level of Hevel the Gami. Why is that not a problem with the Levush? It's just using the Aram fabrics. It says it's using the Hevel the Gami.
I have to see the Lashon exactly in that yichud exactly, but it's called that. This is the way you're connecting definitely with the Naranchi, which is outside.
Rabbi, we're already doing it in the Amidah.
Right.
The Amidah is already, you're doing it. You're saying all the tefillot, it's silently, it's done through machshava. It's
Yeah, maybe for you it's so easy, but
connecting
for us
to
it's not
Hashem.
so
Now,
easy.
you want to connect to a neshama or whatever it may be, it's a whole, it's another story, but I mean, you're connecting to Hashem at that point.
That's right. That's right.
So
But
what?
you're asking me what's a chidush, like you're saying it's so pashut with you. It's pashut, okay, like I didn't say anything today. Right.
Shemuel brought down, Shaul brought down Shemuel's neshama. I mean,
Right. The Gemara says it's an
we're close
edre.
at the Amidah.
The Shmuel was beroges. He didn't.
Yeah, I know.
But he brought it down through the Hevel the Gami. That's what in Shamach and the Katniss.
That's right.
It
That's
says
right.
brought it down through the Hevel the Gami.
That's what I'm saying. That's the Levush.
I wanna say
The
about
Levush says
Okay,
that
because she
that's
did-
why
she
the
did a
Kashefetz
ma'aser.
was did the Isur. The Shmuel did
So
Isur.
she did a Maisa.
That's right. It's Mokum the Katlu. She was a Meister also, but she was a heavenly Gami. That was the problem over there.
How do you disconnect from your
No, because
How do you disconnect?
from your thought? You're supposed to keep on thinking the whole time.
Right. You got to read my book. That's how.
Once the Pshat is Bari Lateva, the Rav was explaining how we have to remove from the Machshavas.
Yeah.
Then there's enough. That's Manias Mania.
Yeah.
Doing the,
Yeah. Like I said,
what
that's the first
I
step.
say time. Then using the Tevas, the Dua and the Baal Hashem say that the Oasis, the words that you say in the Tefillah, carry you up like a ship.
Right.
How does one do that?
Okay. I have no idea. Because I don't do it that way. I can tell you, there's many ways up the mountain. So if you want to use the derech of the Baal Shem, I can't help you. What? But rather, what the sorry?
No, I think I translated something.
Oh, right, sorry. What's what?
That would be fit.
Yeah, that's what he's asking. So what do you do after that?
So what's your way to do it?
Right. So it's
You have also a way. What?
of course. So the way I've been telling you is very simply, like I told you, is through meditation. You're meditating on what? On clearing your mind. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds quite simple, and I'm not really saying anything. But like I told you, an empty keli, your mind, once your mind is empty, Hashem will fill it. Hashem will give you inspiration. And that. The more you think about things, on Yehudim, on Oisius, you're using your left brain. You're starting the process where you're trying to get out of. The more you attract from thinking, the more you'll be matzliach. Because then you're allowing Hashem to think for you and not using your own brain. That's the way I do it, and it works. The more I try to complicate things and try to use Abu Lafia's system or anybody's system to help me, it's actually deterrent. It actually keeps me grounded because I have to use my physical brain to think about these things. When I'm using my physical brain, it's grounding me. When I use my spiritual brain, meaning I empty and allow Hashem to use my brain as an empty vessel and to fill it, everything happens for me.
This is before tefillah. You get the wine tefillah.
Yeah. But you can join in before tefillah, empty the mind, and then allow that tefillah as if Hashem is talking to you, filling that gap, and then you feel completely different.
Do you connect with that tzaddik before you start davening also? Is that part of it?
Yeah, if you feel,
Hashem yifod them, but it's right.
yeah, if you feel that empowers you to feel out, then if that works for you, it's good.
Now,
I'm not saying any other system
does
is
it matter that
not.
tzaddik is with you in the same room or not?
I don't know. I can't advise you about tzaddikim because I can't verify that. I'm very much into verifying that something is real. Okay. So, for example, to bring it down in the Shema over here, I was talking to your grandmother. I can verify that. Either I'm completely wrong or I'm completely right. If I have to bring down now Rabbi Shimon Yochai, who can tell me whether I'm actually making up things or not? I'm not saying that he wouldn't come to any of you big tzaddikim, but you cannot verify such a thing. And what we're trying to do is we're not actually trying to talk to neshamot. The tachlit, what we're trying to do is dvekas b'Hashem, but we need some type of a barometer. We need some type of system that allows us and proves to us, to our logical mind, which always denies that this is actually happening, a reality of confirmation and validity through people communicating their answers to us. Yeah. You can see things. You can see things when you're learning Torah. But the question again.
But you can't prove it. That's the
That's
point.
right.
You can't prove.
There's no
There's
validation.
a vice to be
All the yen or the yen.
השאלה עכשיו, איך אתה יודע שבן אדם שאתה נפגש במחשבה, זה אותו בן אדם שמדבר אליך? הוא אותו בן אדם, למשל אתה רוצה לפגוש את האבא שלך.
כן.
איך אתה יודע שזה אבא שלך? בגלל הדמות שלו, או בגלל שהוא מתחזק כדמות של האבא שלך? ולא סתרה אחרה.
זה קשה להבחין באמת אם זה אבא שלך, בגלל אתה מכיר כל אבא שלך, אתה יודע את מי שאבא שלך, אבל זה יותר טוב לעבוד עם מישהו אחר, להתקשר עם אבא שלו. אז אתה שואל שאלות, אבא שלך אמרתי כך וכך, אם זה נכון או לא, כך אתה יודע אם באמת אדם מתקשר עם האבא שלו. ואתה מרגיש את אבא שלך, אתה מרגיש אבא שלו.
וגם עוד דבר העניין שבעל שם טוב אמר שכל המחשבות שבאים לאדם הם דווקא לתיקון של אותה מחשבה שהיא באה לפה והוא נמצא בקפטיביטי. So you must to clean up מחשבה ולהביא אותו לאיכות של קדושה. אם זה צד היראה שבדבר או שצעבה, אי אפשר לדחות אותה. אם אתה דוחה אותה...
אבל מה שאני אומר, זה בטוח, זה עובד. אם אתה רוצה לעבוד עם כמו הבעל שם, לעבוד על המחשבות, לחזור אותם למקור ולקדש אותם ולתקן אותם, בסדר, אז תעבוד ככה.
הוא אומר רק יחידי סגולה יכולים לעשות את זה, נכון, אבל...
De mooie kennis naar lijden. Kennis naar lijden. Dat is tracht de boers. Maar men is het psiot tracht. En men is maar psiot tracht. Het zou dus niet op een zag ja. Een zag ook niet.
Ben je naar schil?
Nee. Ken zijn lijden mams?
Ja. Ja, dat.
Wie lang?
It depends on the mind.
How much you work on it today?
Yeah, exactly.
Op de stad. Het is een arrangement.
What are we trying to accomplish with the system? We're trying to accomplish HaKodesh, or what we're trying to accomplish?
As I told you, the mitzvah that we're trying to accomplish over here is a mitzvah asemi latorah lidavka, to connect to Hashem. Agav orche, that means on the way, Ruach HaKodesh is possible. Like I said, it's a form of intuition.
So you
It's like Rabbi Hasmani said, you have to go through a lot of steps to get to Ruach Kodesh, right? He says Hasidut, all these things.
Yeah.
So we're skipping all of that to get to Ruach Kodesh? That's my question. No, not
The Gemara says in Chagiga that since the last prophets died, there's no more Nevuah. Well, Chaim Vital says Shakidusha, there's no Nevuah, but there's a Ruach HaKodesh. Now, of course, his Ruach HaKodesh is not going to be like our Ruach HaKodesh. Of course, there are levels in all things. Okay, so the Ramchal, what exactly the problem with the Ramchal, he never really explains himself fully. We never really get even the Kitzur Kavanot. We don't get a full picture. That's why a lot of people turn towards the Rashash, because there's a full system over there. Mashim Ramchal speaks in Keta. We don't know what level of Ruach HaKodesh he's talking about.
Right. So we're okay. Understand. Thank you.
I've done a lot of practices in meditation,
Yeah.
and I got to the point that I could clear my mind and be relaxed like even for hours.
Okay.
But I could have the tefillah is much a spiritual way, and if I do yichudim, it's much more meaningful.
Good.
But only being on the state of doing not thinking nothing,
Yeah.
lav dafke, we get a spiritual ashrah.
Maskim. Yeah.
So there must be some kind of key to go
Yeah,
to.
the key is to ask. Before you go into the meditation, as have a tachlis. So what you say is, before you go into meditation, again, it doesn't have to be for 3 hours, it could be half an hour, 10 minutes. I want to communicate with kach b'kach, or I want to receive information, kach b'kach. Then go into the meditation, and then come back to me. You'll see the difference.
If someone can concentrate on the davening, on the learning, so how do you take away that?
Read my book. That's the first step, is controlling your thoughts. Without that, it's not going to happen.
How difficult it is to learn to be able to control them?
What?
How difficult is the stages to learn to control them?
How long is a piece of string? Everybody has their own, it could be that you're controlling your thoughts, everything's good. Then there's a situation in your life that makes it very difficult. And therefore it won't be so easy to control. So you might go in different stages.
Maybe we should try this.
Stick a Lashon HaKodesh in the back. Not in Yiddish, no.
There's a concept of feeling one with the universe.
Yeah.
Where a person is fully aware that we are not us, or rather we are what in science they call energy, the Ha'aviv. Is that part of the system?
Yes, I mean, there are permutations of what I'm teaching over here, and therefore you'll be able to connect in a big way to the Olam HaRuchni, if you continue this Mahalach, and then, Malachim would come to you. The Arizal says every person has 4 Malachim. You know that piece in the Arizal that talks about you have 2 big ones and 2 small ones, and the 2 of them to guide you, 2 of them are to support you and as Shmira, and you can communicate with them. They're there for you. But that's only, again, when you move shots.
They will tell you the
It's
tikkun
sharp
of
with
it.
them to connect with the eigene neshama.
Avada.
Man kann schon mit der eigenen neshama, das mit dem neshama, mit der eigenen neshama.
Avada.
But you can't verify. But you can't verify.
You can't verify, but after a while, you'll have a Hagosha
So then you don't have to go verify.
if
Get
you're at
beyond
that
the
stage.
verification.
At that stage, right. But at the beginning, you would need to verify things to make sure you're on the right track. You follow what I'm saying?
They will tell you, Malachim, what's your purpose in this time?
I don't know what they're going to tell you. I can't, I'm not a Navi.
No, the purpose
I'll
was
tell you what,
tikkun that we were supposed to be accomplished.
Like I said, the only difficult part is that are you making it up or you're not when you're dealing with...
Right. No, I mean, not to you actually. If I'm going to do according to you, they will tell me exactly my purpose in the life, or what
Could be.
could be.
Every time you mekash to a mitzvah, כאילו, יבואו, סובים עוד כאילו יבואו,
What happens when you say when the purpose is to adopt the one? When a person empties himself out, whatever order that he gets after that, that's the adopted boy. That's it. Which means he doesn't have to be connected to any neshamas or tzaddik.
No.
That is it. That's it.
That's simple.
Rabbi has shiurim on this book.
We're starting to give shu'urim. We're starting to give shu'urim on this, and
When
we have a website.
you have a website,
Yeah.
what's that?
The back of the book. It's,
Okay, very nice.
Yeshivat Achen.
So there's what there's
Yeshivatachen.com.
There's a shiurim there about the book.
We're starting. We just updated it, and we're starting to put up shu'urim. More practical shu'urim, how to get steps to this.
What's auras? How does that relate?
Babuas.
Is that a babuas?
Babuas, yeah.
So a lot of people say they see colors and all of that.
Because every babuas has colors. The colors are information. For example, if I ask you, what does red mean to you? If I went around the room and asked, what does red mean to you? Everybody give me a different explanation. He'll tell me murder. He'll tell me it's love. He'll tell me it's, Mila, Nida, all different. That's information. That's information. So if you look at somebody, you look at that boo and you see red.
You're not seeing you're seeing physical. You're
No,
seeing
you see a spiritual red, of course. That is a whole packet of information over there. It reads volumes. But the red that you see by that person is not the same information you get by seeing red by that person.
So how do you interpret it?
You'll see that that person is very intense, very spiritual, very hot, very attached to Hashem, and the other red is a Rosh Hashanah, he's a Ratzeach, he's a murderer, and that's an intuitive feeling towards that color.
That has to do with also similar to the Isis on the Mitzvah. Well, that's a whole different story.
That's all. These are in Yeshayahu HaKodesh. Doesn't explain fully exactly how that works. I've gone through those pieces many times. Unfortunately, I wasn't matzliach in that. But you can read letters. You can read a cup. There's a lot we can talk about anyways. It's not that.
Everybody interprets it different.
Sorry?
Whatever you see, you can interpret different ways. So it's up to the person that
That's
sees
the
it.
Ruach HaKodesh. That's why. Urim V'tum was what? You go to Urim V'tum. Should we go to war or not? Where's the information? What lights up? Yisachar, Zvulun, Yehuda, green, blue, and yellow. I asked, do we go to war or not? And instead to create a puzzle over here. It was only with Siyad Shema, the Ruach HaKodesh will come and decipher that information. And it could be the same lights light up for a different question. But it's the Ruach HaKodesh, the kesher that you build up, that will give you the right information.
How do you
According to the
interpret?
question that you asked, you're going to get your answer.
Yeah, but it's more the interpretation. I'm saying.
Right. But
You can get the same message twice with completely two different interpretations. Depends on how good you mekasher to the Eibush to this time, or it depends on the matzah. There's a lot of things that depend.
This thing of Ladofka boy, it doesn't have to be Tadavan, right?
No.
If he just clears his mind that that's Ladofka boy, he could do it sitting right here. It doesn't have
That's
to
what
be
I said.
Mishma Nasser.
When you're on the train, you're walking around, you're done with the Eibush.
And that's also even a goy, and everyone could have it.
The Goyim are not interested in connecting to the Eibush. Yeah, what's it? Jack.
Does Ruach HaKodesh have a gematria?
I don't know. You're good at gematrias. You're gonna have to tell me.
I don't know.
That's a different form when you're working with gematrias.
how many times a day do you recommend to meditate?
Listen, how long is a piece of string again? You know, it depends on your your schedule. You have to find a time where it's shy for you to.
Is it a little Torah?
Is it Bittul Torah? Well, I can just tell you a story that Arizal, when he met Rav Chaim once, famous story, and he told him, "Have you been using the Yehudim I've been teaching you?" And Rav Chaim said, "No, I'm teaching whatever the Gemara in Sanhedrin. I'm busy teaching Gemara, Torah is can I get cooler?" And he turned around and he said to him, "The Yehudim are higher than Torah."
So this is considered Yehudim or only Yehudim for Shabbos?
You do a mitzvah in a Torah called the Dov Kabbalah.
Sure.
It's definitely not Bittul Zman.
Changing something which we see a desire people. When you make the right Hashem, you know how to change the desire.
That's beyond the scope of this discussion. More than we wanted to talk about.
Well, Rabbi Yahya,
Yeah.
the Rabbi said that when the person connects to a subject to give him information, are you answering the issue of the Tamiti and Mashim Elohicha?
Latidot.
So you're connecting to no Atidot. Is it tell
You're
you?
not allowed to. When you're asking a
But how
tzaddik,
do
you're
we
asking him,
see-
tell me what does this Gemara mean? What
How
is
do we see that Tzaddikim did it? They connected and they told them information what's going to happen.
Right. The Arizal says it.
Like Oto Hasid, like you mentioned before.
Yeah. It's a machlokes rishonim. What the Isu, for example, we just took this mitzvah, Dosh et Meitim. Some say the get of the Isu is Kishuv, some say it's Tamim Tiyu. So apparently they learn, those who are not bothered with Tamim Tiyu, about Latidot, so it's no problem with the Kavanas are in the inyan of Tikkunim, not to be complicated, not to confuse it from what I'm teaching over here. I'm not talking about Tikkunim. I'm talking about Hidapkut to Hashem. You want to do Tikkunim? You want to do Yehudim? That is the parasha of Tikkunim. Aliyas Man, Yizidus Mad, Aliyas Nitzutzut, Rafa, Chach. That's a different parasha altogether. Everything has its time and place.
You cannot do nothing for the end of
Huh?
You cannot do nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Very good. That's a good point. That's it. What I'm saying is the basis for all that. Because once you learn this and practice it and incorporate it into the Yehudim, ain't a doimer. Ain't a doimer.
Being down that the Baal Shem supposedly said true the day after the Tefillah, because he went up all the Olamot. So once one is misfashed for the Machshava, how does one climb up to Yitzhira, Bria? How does one move up the ladder?
Yeah.
You have to combine it with Kavanot or
So you mean during Tefillah?
during Tefillah?
Well, during Tefillah, this is not going to help you climb because the Kaddish helps you climb. You know, the Anav Koachs, all that will help you break through and climb the different olamot. So you don't need this. This just amplifies it and gets you connected to the Kavanas. But the actual Tefillah has incorporated in it the Aliyahs. Good? Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.